We're here with Professor Weidman, and she's going to tell us about her connection with India. So, Professor, what can you tell me about India?
Okay, Salimah. Well, my interest in India goes way back. I've been at Queen's College for, let's see now, it's almost 45 years, okay, since I was a 25-year-old kid. It was my first job out of graduate school. And when I came here, one of my main interests was to go on learning as well as to teach. So every few semesters I'd take a course, sit in on a course. And in the early years that I was here, I guess it must have been in the, during the 70s.
Oh, wow.
You weren't even born, right?
No.
I came in 1969. So sometime in the late 70s or early 80s, we got a course in the linguistics department in Hindi.
Oh, wow.
And I was always interested. You know, I was born interested in a lot of things, including India. So I wanted to sit in on the course, and that course was taught by someone named Kamal Sridhar, Sridhar. She's now a professor at Stony Brook, but she was then new to the linguistics department at Queen's. And so I took her course and I became friends with her. And she and her husband, who's also a professor of linguistics at Stony Brook, Sridhar, often came to our house and visited us, and we visited them. I had two small children at that time. One was born in 1966 and one was born in 1970, so they were in their early years. And they had an imaginative world that they had created called Tigerland.
Tigerland.
Yes, it was the whole world. They had a map, and there were characters and all kinds of things, and they used to play it endlessly. And one time the Sridhars were over, and Sridhar turned to Amy and said, "Well, Tigerland is a real place, and it's India."
Wow.
And that was really the first that the kids had heard of that. Mm-hmm. And I always date my younger daughter Amy's interest in India to that influence. Because, maybe it wasn't a tight connection, but it was certainly an influence by having met the Sridhars and visited them, and we had a kind of culture in our house of being interested in India.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I took the Hindi course. It soon got too hard for me, but I enjoyed it. No, I can't say anything. But my daughter can speak Tamil and Telugu.
Really? That's so amazing.
It did actually take in her case. And she went to college at Bryn Mawr College in Philadelphia and became an anthropology major. She went to Siberia and here and there. She has always liked to go places and do things and learn languages. And ultimately, she went to India. And actually what happened was this is interesting because it has to do with a college culture. At Bryn Mawr College, they had a student union, and occasionally there would be a guest who would come. And one time a guest came who played the Indian violin. That is, played the violin in the style of South India, sitting down on a mat. And she had been studying the violin, played this way, like a European style. And she was just fascinated by Adrian Lerman's playing. That was his name. And although she was a pretty shy kid, she went up to him after the concert at the Student Union and said, "Will you teach me?"
Wow.
And he said yes. And
he said yes.
He said yes. And so he did. He lived in Swarthmore, which was just a neighboring community. He taught her. And ultimately, she went to India and studied with a woman who is a professional South Indian violinist. She lived in Chennai. And the whole subject of how the British brought the violin to India and what the Indians did to transform it. And so I got interested too. And since she was spending so much time there, I decided I should go too. So I went for a month in 1996, I guess it must have been, something like that. and to see if I could tolerate the heat and the conditions. And I found that I could, so I applied for a Fulbright, and I went to India in the fall of 1997, and stayed for 5 months.
Wow.
And I was teaching. It was a teaching Fulbright, so I did. I was teaching my own subject, which is American literature, and I went to many different kinds of schools for Muslim girls, schools for schools in the country. This poster was brought back by me, one of the students at a college in Orissa, Berhampur University. Made it. Maybe the camera would like to see it. It's kind of a he presented it, very formally, picture drawn by his own hand, as he writes on the back.
Wow.
And the students there were quite different from the students here. There they called me their beloved madam. Here I'm glad if they know my name by the end of the
standard.
Yeah, well, I had a very good time there. I saw lots of different kinds of schools and lots of different kinds of students. I spent time in several different parts of the country. I got as far as Calcutta and got to meet a famous writer, Mahasheta Devi, who I had studied here in the United States. So it was a great experience for me.